Hello, everybody, and welcome to composing, or really producing at this point, my new track, Snake Charmer's Lair. We will start like usual by playing the whole track back. Hold on a second, I'm actually going to grab an accessory that I think may help my voice audio just a bit. Actually going to grab a pop filter to prevent these sounds. Hello, hello, hello. Pa. That helps a little bit. I'll experiment with this and see if it helps enough to be worth doing, or if it's just annoying and in my way, because it may just be annoying and in my way. I always use one of these when I actually record vocals with this mic, though. Alright, well, we'll start by listening to this. So, I think that sounded pretty good for the most part. I'm sorry if the popping bothers you. Just that pop filter gets in my way. It makes me feel disconnected from my screen. It's big. I actually just noticed something that I had in the composing template that I didn't actually add back, and that is these low woodwinds with the contrabassoon and the bassoon. And I like those, so I think I'm going to add them back in. Not an earth-shattering difference to the song, but I think it adds just a touch of subconscious warmth. You feel these more than you hear them. I like woodwinds. I think woodwinds are good. I think woodwinds are underused, and I think woodwinds add a nice something extra to music. The composers that are good with woodwinds tend to have just like a touch more magic to their music. They tend to have a touch more. Their music tends to shine just a little more. It's almost kind of like some kind of like hidden mix effect or something like that when you double a few things with woodwinds and throw a few woodwinds in. Like, I'm talking like composers that are great with woodwinds. If you want to hear the difference, go listen to John Williams and James Horner and Jerry Goldsmith. And a lot of the Japanese video game composers, I don't know the names of all of them, but the people that write the music to Final Fantasy, the people that write the music to the various Zelda games, particularly I'm a fan of the Twilight Princess and Wind Waker music. I know Koji Kondo wrote the original themes, but I'm not actually entirely sure who was the main composer on Twilight Princess and Wind Waker. I think it was several people, actually. Alright, cool. I'm going to add these bassoons in an octave higher. I'm gonna play this. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. I had a phone call for a second that I had to check. So I'm actually gonna play this and mute it just to see if these woodwinds make much of a difference. I think they add just a tiny touch of thickness to the track. Wow, I'm definitely going to need a limiter on this track before I finish it because I am clipping the output bus on this thing. And that's okay though. When I mix it, I'll throw a limiter on there and be kind of careful with the amount of gain. I may have to adjust the gain just a little bit going into the limiter to make sure it doesn't hit it too hard. But this is a hard-hitting track. It's understandable that it would hit the limiter pretty hard. Okay, so I think we have everything except for the melody in this big part. Okay, now let's record that properly. Alright, I think that sounded pretty good. What's this? Sorry, I'm gonna have to stop the video yet again for some. Alright, and now we're back. And I'm not promising there won't be any more interruptions. Okay, so this is pretty much at the top of the dynamics with this. In the writing template, just doubling with the strings and putting them an octave up actually made it big enough. I'm kind of almost wondering if I need to double with trumpets. But right now, I'm going to actually trust what I did in the writing template and see that it works. It should work because I was supposed to have what patches I needed figured out for the production template. And so far, that's worked pretty good for me. I already don't like a move that I made. I actually kind of have a slight theory about how to do dynamics for brass instruments. I don't think they move around quite as much as string instruments do in dynamics. I actually know because I actually played French horn in concert and marching band in school. This instrument. And we tended to just, like, play out loudly, like, until we ran out of breath, and then you grab a breath in the space and play loudly again. There were some quiet sections too, but realistically with French horn, like, the quiet was louder than most instruments' quiet. It was louder than the woodwind's quiet. It was louder than strings. Like I say, I mostly played in, like, concert band and marching band, so we didn't actually deal with strings quite as much. I knew some string players, though. I knew some upright bass players and cello players. But brass tends to kind of be more kind of wide open. And when I play brass instruments like sample modeling, where I use the breath controller, I tend to look at my dynamics, and they tend to be kind of wide open with me actually using breath to control them. I think I'm going to double down this track again for dynamic reasons, or for kind of tone reasons, and just kind of have the first attacks on each one. Because everything else is kind of slurred and kind of legato. French horns actually do have a bit of legato in their playing. I know, because I played one. Okay, that sounds pretty good. Now we need the strings. Actually, let's listen to the scratch track and see if we're missing something. Okay, those big octave strings are a big part. I also realized that I forgot to do the timpani and cymbal roll into this. I'll have to remember to go back and do that. So. Okay, that's the top octave. Okay, cool. Let's mess with some dynamics on that. Starting to learn something about Metropolis Arc. I think that like all the sections are like, the dynamics don't tend to have like a normal orchestral balance. It's like they kind of made the strings as loud as the brass, when something like Spitfire Albion or something would have like the strings be a little softer than the brass, like it would be in real life. But it's like you can make the strings eat your brass for lunch if you want to with Metropolis Arc. Feels good to me. I find on the other hand, strings tend to kind of go in waves. They tend to like kind of go up in dynamics and then back down in dynamics and then go up. That's how they tend to sound to me. I admittedly have less experience with live strings than I do live brass players and woodwinds, but that's what strings sound like to me. They go up and they go down. Alright, that sounds pretty good to me. I just gotta make sure I get that roll in with the percussion stuff. Wow, those are loud. Oh, you're right. That's drums 4. That's a drum. That's not going to tell me any note information. What notes are actually played there? Sorry, I'm like working on this project like over a period of several weeks. I tend to like forget what the notes are and like what I'm actually doing. Cool, we have some dynamics on that, and then we got to get that cymbal roll in. Did I just say cymbal roll is one word? Cymbal roll. Just because it bugs me a little. And then figure out the dynamics for that. I think that sounds good. Okay, so it literally just loops everything except the melody. Cool. I think I'm actually just going to copy this over because I really think that will sound fine. Sort of on the fence about this zebra bass. I kind of love it and kind of don't for some reason. I may tweak around on that sometime. Not really sure. Okay, I actually think this track sounds really good now. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually probably going to mix this track off camera and get it ready for the stock music store. And thank you for watching me compose and produce this track. It's actually been a lot of fun. I really like this track and what it's sounding like. And I appreciate each and every one of you that have watched even just one of my videos. I really like it. This whole YouTube composing thing is a new thing for me, and I'm glad you liked it. So one last thing that I'm going to do before I end the video is I would like to play the scratch track from the writing template and then play what I've got at the end of the production template. And just see if I made an improvement or if there's some things in the writing template that were a little better. First off, let's start with the scratch track from the writing template. play the track from the production template. I think it sounds pretty good. I think that I improved on the strings and brass dynamics a bit. I noticed a little something when the main melody kicks in big for the first time. I kind of noticed that, like, in the writing template, the string stabs hit me a little harder, and I like that. So I may adjust the velocities of those just a little bit. But the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save it again, and I'm gonna save it as a mixing project where I'm gonna mainly adjust the volumes between the instruments and fine tune it. And the way that I tend to do mixing is I tend to get the track sounding as good as I possibly can in the project, and then I bounce out a version of it, and then I'll listen to that all the way through and take notes on anything that might be wrong with it. and then I go back and try to fix what's wrong with it. And I just do that until I think that it sounds great. And I also do just a touch of mastering stuff on the output bus. I don't necessarily do a lot with mastering, but I will put a limiter on there. Usually I'll put the FabFilter Pro L on there, and I will get the output bus to, I like to use the K system metering, just because I think that's a good standardized thing that doesn't overdo things. I usually try to get the final output level to K14, somewhere around there on the K system meter. And depending on what kind of track it is, sometimes I will add a little EQ and compression to the main output bus to make it sound more modern and thick and punchy, like pop records these days. I don't overdo it though. Like, one of my biggest musical pet peeves is like the whole loudness war thing, where everybody's trying to compete for the loudest song, and the songs have no dynamics or punch left in them because they've been destroyed with a compressor. I don't do that. But occasionally, depending on what kind of song it is, I might want to give it some of that, like, master bus compression thickness, and I will, like, hit a master bus compressor. Usually, I actually like, and I saw Christian Hansen that runs Spitfire Audio do this in one of his videos, and I like the way it sounds. I usually grab the Waves Renaissance compressor and set it to mastering optical fat, and just get like 1 or 2 dB if I want. And not like the most modern sounding cutting edge track that I do, I will just get like 1 or 2 dB with that compressor. And I'll usually, like, if I do an EQ, I'll just kind of use it to boost a little 10K and maybe to roll off some of the frequencies that our ears don't really hear, but they mess up the way compressors work, like 30 hertz and below or whatnot. But anyway, that's how I make music, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you on the next song.